Hey everyone, and today we're doing a game of Karma, and this game has been in the process for quite some time because there was a few bugs with a bunch of European replays. I know that this guy is going to be very ecstatic to see that this is done. But Karma is very interesting because she was initially designed as a support, but she was a huge problem because her shield, and her heal would push the lane and steal farm, which an AD carry definitely doesn't want. Because I mean, it would be fine if it was a kill lane and she got the AD carry some kills, but there's no like stun kill potential on her. It's more they tried to design her for sustain, they tried to design her for damage mitigation, they tried to design her for damage, like all three at the same time, and that just doesn't really work too well. So you're going to be seeing her played in mid lane right now, and that's pretty much where she's strongest. A good way to build her. I generally don't talk about builds, but a good way to build her, because people will be very, very confused, is start out with a couple gold per 10 items to keep the gold, because you need a lot of gold to get your mid-game items quickly. So you're going to get high on farm and high on gold generation. So then you want to pretty much rush a death cap and then go from there with maybe a utility item or spell penetration. You're going to see a rather different build, a build that I'm not a big fan of, but it does work out in the end somehow. With that, I'm going to stop talking. We're going to get right into the video. Alright, hey there everyone, and there's one person who's been dying to have this replay done, and that is the Wind Shaman, who was featured on Karma today. And he's not going to be playing Karma support, he's playing Karma as mid against Rise. I believe? Was it against Rise? No, that was another game that he did. He's going to be playing against Kassadin. That's what it seems, at least. And he's got an interesting team comp. Generally a team comp that you maybe see in a ranked game, minus the Karma. But if you just look at the abilities, you see it ignite on Nautilus, which is kind of interesting. I mean, Nautilus has a good amount of escapes in CC, but that flash definitely helps him in the long run. But anyway, I'm sure I did a long talk in the intro about Karma, so I'm just gonna kind of get right into this game. Time's been going for about 5 minutes because I was fat and lazy and decided I wanted to eat lunch, and realized that the game was loaded when my lunch was ready, so I ate first. Anyway, looking at his team right now, AD carry of Caitlyn, who, this is an old replay, so this is before the Caitlyn buff of today. And I have Darius, looking like he's going to be top lane, very, very strong top laner. Some people think he's OP. Soraka support, once again, this is before her nerfs. But if you look, she's not running any armor, so that's going to be rather rough in the bottom lane. And for the other team, we've got a Kassadin, most likely going to be mid, so he can roam top and bot very easily and gank, which is the real power of Kassadin. It's not that he does a ton of damage, it's that he has such a capability to roam that he can snowball his team really, really hard. You have a Heimerdinger, which could be going top, most likely going top with the teleport. Jungle Pantheon. Pantheon ganks early and often because his early game damage is really, really strong, but falls off like pretty much after the 23-minute mark. It doesn't really matter how the game's going. Like once the game hits 23 minutes, Pantheon, it's just like, oh hey Pantheon, we're gonna turn you off now. Blitzcrank, he could be support, but at the same time it could be a kill lane because you have a Riven here. Maybe Blitzcrank Riven, something like that. Riven is actually really, really good for bottom kill lanes. So that should be very interesting to see. But anyway, starting off with Karma, since you don't level up and all, you automatically have it. You get 2 charges of it. So cooldown reduction is extremely powerful on her. Cooldown reduction and mana. So right now it's every 29 seconds, and that will go down with cooldown reduction. It even says it in the ability. We're starting off with Q, the Heavenly Wave, which is a heal in a conal heal, and also a big damage thing. So the mantra is what heals for 35 plus 5% of missing health, so it's not a big heal, at least not early game. But the big thing is her the damage that it deals. And it says in a cone, but it actually does in a cone and also in a slight circle around Karma, which is kind of weird. People don't really notice that, but Karma could be facing away from you, and if you're on her, you could still be doing a lot of damage. The only point of having the cone is that it's a ranged harass. And what's also neat about her is she With her abilities, they all seem melee. She does have a ranged auto attack, throwing little fans at people. So that's going to be very, very tough for a mid Blitzcrank. I guess someone watches a little bit of Scarra. But anyway, not having any armor magic resist, but having a huge amount of early ability power. Grabbing a Meki Pendant, I don't necessarily agree with that, especially since he probably didn't know what the matchup was. Having the movement speed is very, very big. But looking at the rest of her kit, her W, Spirit Bond, it gives her a little bit of a movement speed boost, but the movement speed scales better with more movement speed that you have. So it'll increase your movement speed by 10%. So we're at we're at 316 right now, probably because we have the 2% movement speed in the utility mastery. Add boots to that, that's around 360. So add 10% to that, that's another 36 movement speed. It's a really nice boost. Not being able to get away as quickly could prove tough, especially against the Jungle Pantheon. And then her E, which is a shield, which absorbs 80 at base level 1, plus scales really, really nice with AP. You can see we're at 36 AP right now, and it shields for an extra 30 up from the AP. Flashing into the tower, that may have been a slip of the mouse with Pantheon ganking, and possibly with the boots, maybe being able to escape the Pantheon, because Pantheon didn't start boots. So between the Spirit Bond with the 10% movement speed and boots, possibly getting away from that gank. So grabbing boots and a ward now. Probably should have had boots to begin with and just passively farmed. But one thing I'm thinking of is I'm looking at Karma's AP. Just before she had 27, I completely forgot about her passive. As my dog decides to go berserk, I apologize. This scales up with level, and as she loses health, she will gain ability power compared to the percent health that she's missing. So if she's at low health, at the moment she could have up to an extra 50 ability power, which can be a huge bait mechanism, because get to low health, save up your 2 mantra charges, toss a shield on yourself, you mantra your shield, which will do an AoE damage. If you look, that whole circle I believe does AoE damage. And then using the Heavenly Wave damage as well. So now came in pretty much just to show his face. If you see a jungler do that, like running through the lane, it's more or less just to show that show the enemy that, oh yeah, I haven't lost my attention. It's not that I'm ignoring your lane. I am here, so be on your toes. And that really does help with farming, because instead of them being super aggressive, it'll get them to back off a little bit, so allowing your laners to farm a bit more. Just doing a little bit easy farming. Nothing too crazy. Looking at the farm right now, we've got 24 to 16. But Blitz has a gold per 10 and a kill. So Blitz is ahead right now. Now one thing you want to be wary of when you go ward, it seems like their jungler is not on the map. He is not on the map at all. So going to ward like that could be very, very risky. So generally, when you're sitting in mid lane or top lane, unless you know you have to be pushed out really far, you don't want to go run into their jungle and risk warding, because that Blitzcrank is right there. If you're coming in here to ward and Pantheon gets the jump on you, Blitzcrank can simply run, and with the scan, I'm going to assume he lands maybe 1 out of 3 poles. If he lands that pole on you without flash, you're kind of screwed. So just like that, landing an easy pole. And getting another kill. Blitzcrank 68 AP. That's really, really going to hurt with his ult and his grab. So now 750 gold. We have a ward down. Probably want to pick up one more, because this one is, I don't know, it looks like I'm guessing it's about a third done. Grabbing a Chalice of Harmony. So it's going to provide a nice little bit of tankiness against the Blitzcrank. Not so much against the Pantheon. even though Pantheon's stun does magic damage, not that big of a deal. Excuse me, as I had a little bit of a burp. So now, in my mind, the best thing you could be doing right now is Karma has a nice amount of burst for pushing lanes. Generally, what you want to do is just run up, go push the lane, like right now, go push the lane up, and then go right to bot. Because if you look, you got an AP Kassadin and a Heimerdinger. Supporting probably also going AP. It should be fairly easy for these two guys to probably kill the Heimerdinger. So if you can run down there, use your shield, because it also does a slow. It not only speeds you up by 10%, it slows them by 10%. So it's a great chasing tool. Waiting at that hit right there is really, really smart. A lot of people like to just push the lane so it evens back out. Ooh, getting caught once again. Not exactly the best of decisions. Really want to be careful when playing against the Blitzcrank. I mean, this could be first time facing Blitzcrank mid. Not many people do it because they're not so confident in landing their hooks all the time. Like, it's few and far between when you have people that are really good at landing a Blitzcrank grab. So yeah, back to what I was saying, it's definitely going to be a good idea to try to just shove the lane out really fast, because Blitzcrank is now just going to be really, really aggressive, because I'm sure he's got a good bit of items now. So a good idea would be either trying to go gank this lane, because even though Riven's very mobile, rather low move speed without the boots, so it could be easy for to land a kill for Darius or yourself. Let's speed this a little bit. Definitely want to be careful. Always want to stay behind the creep, especially since you have a ranged auto attack. You have that ranged auto attack, but possibly knowing that Nautilus was coming, so that's gonna be really, really nice. Nautilus without his ult though, so yeah, missing the kill on that. Now, this is where things could get ugly because Pantheon could easily jump in on you, letting Blitzcrank fall and netting them another kill, which almost happened, but still having the flash. Didn't use it earlier. This might be another kill for them.
Shut down.
Alright, so it seems like your support and jungler are going to be carrying a little bit. And that was actually rather funny. Having the Pantheon just jump up while the Nautilus was being dumb and overextending. Anyway, we're picking up a Mana Manipulator. I'm guessing that this is going to be going right into a Soul Shroud. I mean, that's the only thing you really build into, unless you have it sit there for mana regen. But Soul Shroud for the cooldown reduction, a little bit of health. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it definitely would have been better if you want to get a mana regen item with cooldown reduction. Building it into a Philosopher's Stone and then to a Shurelaze would definitely be the better option. Because just by getting a Philosopher's Stone, is it more mana regen? 7.2 mana regen compared to 8 mana regen. Right there, that's more mana regen. And then you get the cooldown reduction, 15%. It's the same as Soul Shroud, except there's no aura. But it gives you the movement speed boost. So you get the gold generation, which is really, really nice. Up until you get the final item, which gives you a good bit of cooldown reduction. Let's just compare the prices of the two. 2,200 compared to, we already have the mana manipulators, so that's going to be a little bit out of the picture. They're roughly equal in price, 180, 180, and then 115. That's what, 400 or 500 gold? Probably around 400 gold. So they're essentially the same price. With actually the Shurelaze possibly being cheaper, because if you wait a little bit, you get the gold generation from the Philosophers. It'll be a little bit more efficient. Speaking of cooldown boots as well, so now we're at 19% cooldown reduction. Getting the Soul Shroud, that'll get you 34%. So it's close to max. It's actually a good thing to not get max cooldown reduction, because when you hit max, generally speaking, unless you get too items that synergize perfectly, or you have the runes that synergize perfectly, it's going to be wasted stats, wasted gold. So sitting on 2 wards with the rest of the map not warded, want to follow behind autos to get those wards out. With Blitzcrank hanging around like this, there probably is a guy just in this area down here, or maybe Pantheon came back around here. But with Blitzcrank being this aggressive, even though he is really strong, he saw 3 mid, so I don't think he's really going to want to sit there without someone ready to support him in a heartbeat. No, I guess that's not the case. He's just going to be that strong and really do a number onto Karma. So if we had the Philosopher's Stone, there wouldn't be a need to use the health pots. Because a Philosopher's Stone is essentially a rolling health pot, more or less. Just, it's not as much health regen in a quote-unquote burst time period. But it'll be enough that you don't have to spend as much gold and use as many health potions. Going back to buy again, just continuously falling behind, because Blitzcrank has a really, really strong ability to push the lane, 60 CS to 58. Surprisingly keeping up. Still going on this gank. Oh no! That's what I was with. Getting a nice kill and saving yourself with the shield. That is tremendous. Oh, that's insanely quick reaction time. I wish I could go back on that. Very, very nice. And you see the power leveling that shield up, even with Heavenly Wave. So that shield now, it now absorbs 280 damage. While also dealing 280 damage. It shields an equal amount of the damage that it deals, which is really, really cool. So getting, possibly that was a double mantra combo between the shield and the Heavenly Wave. So healing yourself for 95 plus 7% of missing health, which is really low. So giving a nice burst heal on top of a big burst shield. Combine that with 2 big bursty damaging abilities. That actually hurt Blitzcrank pretty badly. Really, really nice. Once again, gonna fast forward back into the lane. Maybe go at 4 speed. Letting the lane push up. So Blitzcrank landing another grab. Not using the mantra for damage on the shield, but it's alright. Using the mantras, both of them right there to try to get all the form and heal up at the same time. But 2 ruby crystals, that may have been a mistake. Possibly was going for a Kindle gem. Not positive. I'm just going to assume that for right now it was a mistake. So Blitzcrank's roaming. Saw him roam, didn't decide to follow. Just going to push the lane up. That's what you need to do. If you're not going to follow the lane, you need to push up and get damage on that tower. So now a little trick to playing Karma, which I don't know if a lot of people know. You can shield minions. You can use your mantra and shield minions, which will, number 1, prevent them from getting that last hit possibly. And number 2, dealing a nice bit of chunk damage to them if they're going to get in there and try to auto-attack. So someone like Blitzcrank who has to get in there in melee, using a mantra shield on a melee creep is a very good tool to harass. So lagging in the AP department right now. So the damage is really going to be rather low. This is definitely more of a supporty build right now. Not a big fan of it. Definitely would like to see more of a lot more AP. Looking at the recommended items, these are just more for support. But in terms of getting ganked by Pantheon right here, getting a very nice flash over the wall, but caught by Riven's ult. That sucks. Almost was a very, very nice getaway. So getting 1 Kindle gem here, with still having another ruby crystal. I don't know what that's going to go into. But that's going to build more likely than not into a Soul Shroud. Soul Shroud is just not a strong item in general because it's an aura, and it's a relatively low range aura, so it's not very beneficial too many people. I mean, in the middle of a team fight, it could be nice, but more times than not, it's just 15% cooldown reduction. It's not worth the gold spent compared to 2200 gold that can go into a Shurelios for chasing or initiating. Some AP into Blasting Wand and a needlessly large rod. I believe that those add up to a little bit more than 2200 gold, but still more effective items because that 80 AP almost goes directly into the shield. I mean, let's say maybe 72 AP goes into the shield. That's 72 more shield and damage you could be dealing. That's also, let's see the scaling on the Q. Scaling on the Q, probably around 65 damage going to the Q. It's more damage instead of cooldown reduction, which in theory gives you a little bit more damage, but in a team fight you're not going to have 6, 7, 8 mantra charges. It's just really not going to happen. It's definitely better to go for the burst with a little bit of cooldown reduction later. Because when they see that you have that kind of burst, they're gonna want to stay away from you. They're gonna know the kind of harassment and potential you have to really burst them down and do a number on them, force them out of lane, which is what should happen to begin with. Because early on, having that good bit of AP, while everyone else had no items, that was really nice. Managed to bully Blitzcrank around, but then getting items that have no real damage, that's when Blitzcrank realized that I can run into her and pretty much do whatever the hell I want. The other problem was the Gank Swarm. That was more or less it. So Cassidy coming in, not having much in the way of damage. This could be a kill if you land the Ignite on Cassidy. Really good. That was nice. Good little bait. Now this could be a dive. Yep, definitely going to be a dive. So they came out better with that trade because for you, it was 1 kill with no assist. For them, it was 1 kill with 2 assists. Anyway, Soul Shroud is now complete. So we're going to be at 20... That doesn't seem right. Oh, it's 10% cooldown reduction. I thought it was 15. That makes it even worse of an item. So it's going to be 29% cooldown reduction. Nothing too special. Yeah, 29% cooldown reduction, so that's going to give an 18-second mantra cooldown. I think the AP definitely would have been a bigger deal because I think you gained 5 seconds less on mantra. It's really nothing good at all. Compare that to an extra, let's call it 140 damage in your burst. I think that's a better trade-off. So possibly getting caught. Ooh, juking the grab, really nice. I doubt that would have been a kill considering Blitzcrank decided to get another gold for 10. So his damage is going to be a bit lower. And now baiting the Cassidy into his team, taking a ton of damage, but not giving up the kill. So I'm just looking at farm real quick. We don't have any gold pretends, so Blitzcrank will be ahead if they're even in farm, especially with 10 kills. Oh my god. So 91 farm on Blitzcrank with 2 gold pretends compared to 98 farm on Karma with 3 kills. Blitzcrank is miles ahead of her right now. And why is that? It's because he still built damage. Yeah, he got a gold pretend, but it's AP. It gave him that bonus. Blitzcrank has relatively long cooldowns, and cooldown reduction does help him, but it's still better to have that burst, and that just shows with the way the scores work out for Blitzcrank. So now it looks like we're getting some more cooldown reduction. It looks like it's going to be in Athene's Holy Grail. Just looking at the items, got the final pieces for it. Just need another 115 gold. So I'm going to speed right back into that lane. We're down 1 tower, but mid tower's down, and their bot tower's down. So towers are even at the moment, possibly with the bottom tower going down soon, but getting ganked. Now here's the thing, we've got some more AP, so that shield's even stronger now, along with the Q being even stronger. And I know we didn't go into it yet, but because she doesn't have an ult that she can skill up, that gives extra points into her ability. So each ability can now have 6 points in it. That's ridiculous. That's really, really cool. So that means a lot higher base damages on the abilities. So the base damage on her abilities will equate her to the likes of, let's say, a Maokai or maybe an Amumu. I'm not exactly sure on Amumu's base damages, but base damage equivalent to a tank, but with really, really good AP scaling. So it's really, really interesting to see. So now having the Athenes completed, this is more of a late game item in team fights. We're not really getting into that late game team fight stage, especially since we're really lacking damage. Really would have preferred to maybe keep the Chalice, leave that as is, then go right for Death Cap, because you're supposed to be that AP carry. Who else is being that AP damage? Nautilus has magic damage, but it's not very sustainable. It's not a lot, not extremely bursty. He's there more for the CC. Soraka brings a little bit of magic damage. Once again, nothing spectacular, even though she does have 84 AP. And then Darius with the true damage, Caitlyn, her magic damage being on her cupcakes. So they're relying on you to give that magic damage. Looking at this other team, they should be prioritizing armor. It looks like they kind of are. And you got a chain vest on Heimer. We've got Pantheon with no real sort of armor. That's kind of weird. And Riven getting a lot of armor between the Ninja Tabby and the Wriggles. So this could be ugly. And pushing the lane top, I think it would definitely be better to not worry about this top tower. Because at this point, 24 minutes in, we're looking at working our way to the beefy part of the mid game, where team fights are starting. So we want to stay with the team. Instead, pushing a tower, I mean, not the best gold trade-off at all. Not in the slightest, actually, but at least we got the tower out of it. We don't understand why Nautilus is trying to jump in there with no mana or health. So now here comes Karma to the rescue 2 minutes later, doing not much of anything. So sitting at 1,000 gold, I'd like to see this lane pushed and maybe go back to get some bit of AP. Fast forwarding, no one really wants to see farming anymore. And now the lane's pushed. Lily should possibly clear the jungle and then go farm. Like get the wraiths, maybe go get the wolves and then go back and buy. Instead going to push up without any wards out. The team is there, so it looks like she could technically team fight, but I would like to see a little bit more AP to get more burst out, more sustainability for the team. So you can really start pushing back on the other team. Because we haven't really bought in a while. I think it's been several minutes, maybe 5 or 6 minutes. 5 or 6 minutes is quite a while to not buy. Looking at the other team, they're starting to get their bigger items finished. Gotten through our first wave of big items, so Riven had the Wriggles and the Ninja Tabby. Then getting into Bloodthirster. She's going for the Frozen Mallet. I mean, we're going through our third wave of big items, more or less. And looking at Heimer, Rod of Ages, Sork Shoes, Chalice with the Chain Vest, so he's working on his third big item again. Kassadin playing a little more of a support role, not having any big item done really except for Sorcerer Shoes. Blitzcrank going for his, I'd say 4th item because he got the 2 gold for 10 items. Try to count as a half an item each. Anyway, getting in the middle of this fight, Karma definitely should be thinking about being right in the front because she has that big burst and baiting potential, so they can turn focus her. Then popping a shield for 400, a little over 400. It's gonna send them for a loop. So having really nice focus on the team fights, getting down the right players, and keeping everyone alive. That's what's gonna keep this team moving forward. 1,800 gold. The other team's starting to come back up, and they are now starting to. They just had a nice goodbye. And really, really good move, focusing on the squishy guys first. Riven does have a lot of damage, but at the same time, she could easily be CC'd because she's in melee range. Better to go for the squishy guys first, Heimer and Keston. Heimer actually not being so squishy, but... Oh no, Blitzcrank gonna be able to clean up. So yeah, right when they start popping out, maybe after that casting kill, definitely would have been the right time to go back. Getting a Morello's, more cooldown reduction, that's going to be definitely, that's huge overkill. I'm looking at this, 15%, 20%, 10%, not that good. Along with Athene's, it's another 15%, which actually they do not stack. The two 15% do not stack. Unique passive 15%, unique passive 15%. So those are not going to stack. So the only two, one of these are going to apply, and then these other two are going to add up. So we're way over 40%, and that even and it stops at 40%. So you're not going to get any more benefit of that. Huge wasted stats. So now we have the amount of ability power that we needed 10, 15 minutes ago almost. So now it's going to be heavily reliant on magic damage from Soraka and Nautilus at the same time. Instead of Karma... Oh, I hate my dog. Instead of Karma being that big, bursty AP that can also be very deceiving with the shield, she's going to be a lot more in the role of a supporty, low damage poke character right now. So yes, you can see that these two abilities are decently bursty, but if you look at the other team now, they've got some good, a decent bit of health. So 500 damage, 500 damage total, 600 damage total is not going to be that big of an impact, especially since they're getting a bit of resist and health. So her burst is going to be nothing spectacular anymore until she gets a big AP item. So going for Baron. Without any ward clearing, like, I don't see an oracles on anyone, no pink ward, so they're just watching everyone run down here. This could even be warded, and that could be trouble. So now Blitzcrank sees that they're doing Baron as well. Pantheon jumping in. This probably will end poorly, unless they have really, really good focus and peeling abilities. So that shield coming in big, keeping Caitlyn alive just long enough to get Pantheon dead. But now it's 2 dead, probably going to be 3 or 4. Especially missing Darius, where Darius could possibly get a chain ult combo off like 1, 2, possibly 3 people just from Darius right there. Now this other team splitting their focus, allowing Karma to get away alive. Now Darius could possibly come play cleanup here. Let's see how this works out. Wasting's way too early, so not a great understanding of how to play Darius. So overall, 2 or 3 for an ace. That's a huge, huge loss. So let's see what item we get next. A Magi's. I really don't know where this build's going, to be quite honest. Because this item, in an optimal situation, you'd be going to get 20 stacks to get the full use out of it in the same time. That's useless cooldown reduction. Cooldown reduction, it stops at 40%. I know I've said it. It's not like I have an impact on this game, but it's really not. It's only a good item for, let's say, like a low-level game or someone that's smurfing, a 2100 smurf going in a 1000 ELO game. So now we get an ignite on Blitzcrank. It should be an easy cleanup kill. Kind of holding back on using the summoners. I'd like to see a little bit more an aggressive use of ignite, especially since they have a bit of lifesteal, which is going to keep them alive a lot longer. So let's look at the time left. There could be a surrender right here, simply because this other team's pulling so far ahead. And quite frankly, I think they're pulling ahead because there's no real AP. There's no real AP damage, no burst, nothing to to chunk their big health pools down to not much of anything so everyone else can clean up. Because that's kind of the role of the AP. It's not so much to nuke one person down and get kills, in most cases. They're really there to like be the initial upfront damage to put the other team on their back foot. That's why you see AP casters with those huge nukes and the big damage abilities with the medium to long cooldowns. Because their job is to do their big brunt of damage, make the other team scared that they might die, and then either generally try to get the hell out of there so you can do it again. That's why people like Anivia, Brand, and Annie are so scary. Because they do such a huge upfront damage. And then from there, that just lets the rest of the team chase and clean up. So getting no use out of this Magi is really a big time wasted by. Managing to catch Blitzcrank out of position, which is actually a pretty big deal because their AP damage is very limited. You can see Heimer's Rocket's not doing much of anything right now. Ooh, this is actually a really nice turnaround. I was fully expecting a surrender from Karma's team, but this could actually go the other way, provided they stop diving. I'm not a big fan of diving like this, especially with not many defenses on their team. Darius has no armor, so that tower did quite a big chunk to him. So it looks like they're ignoring Caitlyn, and Caitlyn is the big brunt of their damage. Kind of keeping everyone relatively healthy with her shield and somewhat burst damage, but it's really Caitlyn sitting in the back, managing to use her long range to get the big poking and big crit damage between the Infinity Edge and Bloodthirster. So actually this game, big turnaround. While the other team could have gotten Baron after the 2 for 5, they decided to not get it and actually die one by one and proceed to lose the game. Wow, I'm really surprised by this. To be honest, Karma's team really should have lost because their magic damage was just so lacking. Anyway, pretty good game in terms of team fight ability, but I think a lot of good changes could have been made because we had some decent farm. The only problem was running in a straight line for Blitzcrank and not really getting that AP to do any sort of have the ability to duel, go one-on-one or 1v2. Like maybe getting some clutch shields under a tower, but besides that, there's no real threat out of Karma unless it was in a team fight. With that being said, I know it's about time. Wind Shaman, I apologize, and I'll see you guys in the next one.